Hello, very warm welcome. This is Care Tech channel, and if you have a learn to new technologies like Azure, .NET Core, Web API, microservices, and those technologies, please like this video and follow this our channel. We will give a new skills and interview preparation for the experienced and fresher employees. And last session we will covered WebAPI 02 Hero series, and we have a 3 days plan, like day one for basics, and day two like middlewares and dependency injection of web API, and day three we discussed like solid principles and design patterns and API documentation and repository pattern and monitoring performance, and those all the things we covered at day three. But day one, day two, day three, we missed one important exercise, like how we will implement JWT authentication and how we will create a web API project, and how we are creating repository pattern, what is the repository pattern, and those all topics we missed of exercise parts. So that's the reason in this video we are creating the one project with the web API, the using of this all concept like repository pattern and JWT authentication, and with the using of entity framework code first approach, like how we are creating this entire project. We will discuss today's topic. Let's get into the video. And first, I am going to the Visual Studio 2022. I installed Visual Studio 2022. If anyone have any doubts, like how to install Visual Studio in new systems, like we will goes to the Visual Studio 2022, and here this is an IDE, a Visual Studio. And if you are going this original Microsoft Visual Studio 2022, here we have an option like community version, professional version, and enterprise version. Generally we will download as a community version, and enterprises is used for organization, professional is used for like as a professional uh, pattern. So we will download this thing, and after that we will select based on our requirement. And coming about our like our project, like web API project, we will create as a web API project with the using of new project. Here we have a create new project templates. In this is a console app, and here I have selected as a C sharp Windows, like all platforms and all projects type. This is a console application, and this is a Plaza application. These all applications will have, and this is a .NET Core Web API browser pages, and this is ASP.NET Core Web API. We will select this ASP.NET Core Web API and create. Here we will give as a name, and this is our location, like where the project is saving, and we will create as a solution name. And after this, next we will select as a version of .NET Core, whether it is LTS or STS or out of support. We will check this all things, and we will go to the creation of project. So here I already have created a project, so that's the reason I am not again creating the project. So my project is online food order, like how we will order the foods in the online like e-commerce application. So that project I have created. So in this, I have used as a repository pattern. Like I divided as a business logic layer as separate and data access layer is separate. With the using of entity framework, code first approach, I created as a like migrations and those all things. So how we will implement the DB context first. It is the main important of entity framework. So that is first I created as a models like cart. What are the cart items are there? Cart item ID, customer and total price. And the cart item I created as a one separate file, and customer have customer ID and username and password and a role. And menu item, like what are the items are available in menu, like what is the name of item, and what is the price, whether that menu item is available or in the restaurants or not. That's the reason I taken as a one bool thing. And launch date, it means like when the uh, menu item is added in that particular date I mentioned. So that's the reason I created as a one date time variable. And this is the order item, like which order has I have taken, like I have moved into our cart, and I added. So that's the reason I created as a one separate class register DTO. This is for password and role access these things. And user like have like a role name and users. So that's the reason I created these classes. And in that I repo I created as a interface for I authentication repository. This is for JWT authentication. And in the context I created as application DB context. And for that, first we need to install entity framework in our application. So we can install entity framework, manage NuGet package. So we are going to the manage NuGet package. We need to search like entity framework. We will install entity framework, Microsoft entity framework. So already I have Microsoft Entity Framework SQL Server. We need to install. And uh, these packages we need to mandatory install, like Microsoft Entity Framework Core, Microsoft ASP.NET Entity Framework Core, and Microsoft Entity Framework Core Design, and Microsoft Entity Core SQL Project, and Microsoft Entity Framework Tools. We will install these all things for the using of Entity Framework. Uh, to mandatory install this NuGet packages, then only we can achieve with the Entity Framework Core with the using of code first approach. So after this, we will create as a AppDB context. In this AppDB context, we will create as a application DB context. To achieve with this, we need to initialize in the program.cs, like builder dot service add db context. Like we will give as a application db context. Just now we created a one class, right? So options is equal to option use SQL server builder dot configuration get connection string as a db connection string. We need to declare this thing. And This is for that. And in the application DB context, we will create as a tables, like menu item is a one table, DB set is nothing but table, menu item is a table name. This is a table name. And I created one more DB set for order, and one more DB set for customer, and one more DB set for cart, and one more DB set for cart item, and one more DB set for user, and one more DB sets for role. And I created as a override method and model creating. So this is mandatory to we need to implement in DB context class. And here I given as a model builder entity, role has data as username is admin, or username is manager, or username is user. So these three users are available in my database right now. And this is an entity framework code first approach with the repository pattern. So I created as a separate for DB context, and I created as a separate for business logic layer. So that is called as a repository pattern. And for this I used as a JWT authentication. So for that I created as a new installed as a NuGet package, like Microsoft ASP.NET Core Authentication JWT Barrier. I install this package, and in the program.cs I given as a builder.service add sorry builder.service add authentication JWT barrier defaults authentication schema dot add JWT barrier options is equal to option dot token validation parameter equal to no token validation parameters. Validation is user true, validation is audience true, validation is lifetime true, validation sign is true. This code I had it in the program.css, sorry, program.cs. And then after I used as a in app setting.json, I created as a JWT my token, my key, and easy user is ABC, and audience is APC. This is I created as for myself. And in this connection string DB context, here I added like my database connection string and database name. I created as a database name as Zoom1. So if I'm opening SSMS in this already, like if you are executing once executing the one install new entity framework, so automatically it will create migrate we can migrate .NET add a EF migration of initial create database update. With these two commands, automatically the database will open. Database is created in the backend. See, if I open, I have a table name as Jomo1. My table name is Jomo1. In this Jomo1, I have a tables like DB set of orders, DB set of cart items, DB set of carts, DB set of customers, DB set of menu items, DB set of order items, DB set of orders, and the roles. And in the roles, I have a manager and admin, and user. In the users, I have a three users like uh, admin user one, user two. Admin password is welcome, 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 and this email address, last name, and role ID. This all things are there in my application. So if I'm run this solution, like I implemented program in this program.css JWT authentication, um, JWT authentication. If I'm going to the, one second, let me check my internet connection. One second, I'm checking my internet connection, whether my internet connection is there or not. Yeah, okay. Let's get into the project. If I'm build this project, see. Sorry. Here I am stopping my solution. And for coming about this controller, I create as a authentication controller separate for each and every API. It will mandatory check authentication. So that's the reason I taken as authentication controller. This authentication I given as a config and configuration. This is configuration. It contains like uh, configuration details like see interfaces that extends configuration contents like how the database and how the things will configure. This all are contains in I configuration, and here I implemented one post method like login uh, with the using of user, this repository pattern authenticate user. So in that authentication user, I am checking the, this is my interface, I authentication repository, and here I am going to this authentication CS. Here I am checking whether the username and password is correct or not. If it is correct, I am returning the user, and here if user is not null, I am creating and I'm calling one method like generate JSON web token, and here I am giving as a security key and credential. With that token I am giving as a JWT authentication, and expiring the time as a 120 minutes, and after that I am returning the token for JWT token to the user. So I am building this application. See, these all are my CADA operations of web API, and this is my authentication um, API. And here I am trying this admin welcome. Why I am entering admin and welcome? So in my backend, I have admin and welcome. Admin and user one and user three are there in backend. So that's the reason I entered, and I am executing. See, it automatically checked unauthorized because it is authorized, and server client side is not any big problem. So that's the reason it's directly came into the JSON web token. And if I'm entering the next, the secret key, with that secret key, it's divided the secret key, and it has given. and it is converting the security algorithms HSMA, and after that it is creating as a token with that symmetric format, and then it convert as a symmetric format to like normal format, and then after it is creating as a one token, and response we are sending a token to or Swagger API. So this is my API authentication, JWT authentication token. So I think hope you all understand this um, JWT authentication implementation for the .NET 8 web API with the using of entity framework. I hope everyone understand this JWT authentication. If you have any doubt, please feel free to comment in the chat box, and I will explain. Like if you have any doubts, I will explain uh, each step by step. And anyway, we discussed CAD operations like HTTP methods like put and post and get, patch, and delete in the last session with the uh, project also, like web API project also. And next we missed the topic of cross. For cross implementation, here we need to add like builder.service, add cross, option equal to option, add policy, allow localhost, policy equal to policy with origin. Like we will mention like origin and allow any header and allow methods. With this implement of like cross, we can handle the cross like third party users not allowed to the or software application, that is called as a cross. And one more topic we missed, rate limiting. I didn't implement rate limiting in that project. It is an implementation of rate limiting like builder dot add rate limiter, add fixed window limiter like policy is fixed, and the options are permit limit as 4, Windows time second from 12 seconds. 12 seconds for I have a only 4 and 2 mm, request from the client. So that's the reason that this is a rate limiting implementation. So I am keeping as a breakpoint here. We'll see what will happen. See here, here the entire thing will came, and in the norm these all our things will came, and this is on this is our card operations and cart. if we are checking what are the menus are available in these restaurants. Let's see cheeseburger and veggie burger and magnetary pizza and pepperoni pizza, the Caesar salad and sapnati canat and dal punugulo and chicken dosa. These all items are available in the restaurants. If I want to order, if I am deleting any of item, these all are we covered. See, I am deleting and successfully has deleted 204 response code has came successfully or deleted. And I think this is an a live project with all the topics. I think hope I we covered. Once again, we will check into our 3 days plan like Web API Zero to Hero by Tech, and we discussed HTTP methods and where we used why, and we created as a sample project in the session also. And once again, we recall in our project and status code 200, 1, 201, comma 204. These all are success messages, and 400, 404, 404, 401, 403, 500, 513. 513 is nothing but media not supported. These three are success message. This is okay and this is created, and this is 204 is 400, 404, 401. 401 is unauthorized. 403 is forbidden. 404 is not found. 400 is in 500 is internal server error. 513 is media not supported. And we discussed REST versus SOAP. REST is lightweight and it support multiple media types like JSON and XML. SOAP is protocol based and support only XML format. And next we discussed authorization and JWT authorization with the live project test. Now we discussed, and cross and right lifting also we explained in that this live project. And we build as a CUDA operations in this project, and we added as a pagination and filtering on the last session only. And we discussed interview questions of day one, and in the day two we discussed middleware and dependency injection. Coming about middlewares, like here I declared as a middlewares in program.cs, like rate limiting. This is also one middleware, and like use authorization. This is also one middleware. Use routing. It is all our middleweights, and if we want to, these all are middleweights like exception handling, routing, authorization, and caching. These are middlewares and dependency injection. Here I have injected this uh, three dependencies in this project like add scoped. I created as an interface, menu item service, card items, card service, authorization repository. See here I created as a three controller, four controller, authorization, card, menu, user controller. And with this particular I created as a particular services cut service I cut services created as one interface I menu and I user service menu item service and user service. These all are my services and view model is this is my view model like username and password. And here if we wanted to see our project SDKs and project version and the project which NuGet packages are installed, we need to go into our project CSP or the OJ file. We need to achieve. We need to say what we are implemented like catching we implemented, and we discussed catching, Redis catching, and in-memory catching, and we discussed catching, uh, why we are using catching also, and after that we discussed unit testing, and with the using of test like integration testing also, and for payments optimization we are using for catching technique. That is also we discussed in the last session and in previous session, and we covered this all interview questions. And next we discussed practical scenarios and mock interviews we are not discussed. Mock interviews I will mm, take as I will give as a one like a separate video for mock interviews like whenever I get a interview questions in my mind, so I will note down that all questions and I will give it as a mock interviews. And for each of every like premier subscriber of this um, my website, so I will take a mock interviews for every Sunday one by one. And in that video I will live record and I will upload in this channel. If anyone wants any doubts or anything, so please ask in that video only. And after that we discussed design patterns and solid principle, what is the use of circuit breaker, and command query, responsibility segregation, and pagination. And we discussed solid principle and we discussed API documentation. And next we discussed repository pattern. And we just now we saw repository pattern with the using of uh, food art like online food order. And we discussed benefits of solid principle like scalability and reusability and flexibility, maintainability and complexity. And we discussed deployment like what is a Docker, and how we are deploying using this Docker file and Docker images, like Docker deployment and CI/CDs, continuous integration and continuous deployment, like how we will achieve this we discussed in the last session. And REST API versus GraphQL also we discussed. Now we are mainly focusing REST, so that's the reason we covered all REST topics. GraphQL is single endpoints, but uh, dynamic queries. And we discuss WebSockets And for two-way communication, we used WebSockets. And after that, we discussed some more questions of day three, interview questions of day three. And these all are 3 days plan of Zero to Hero Web API topics and interview questions, and with live project. And these all are things, and the summary of final tips, review all topics covered, uh, like review the all topics, and key takeaways and preparation tips for interviews, practice coding and review common questions. Like these all are things to benefit, like get a crack a interview, maybe a interview. So these all are things, these all are topics, and I will make a separate mark videos and interview questions, frequently asked interview question for separate video. This is Leo, and thank you all. If you have any questions and answers, I'll give it within 5 minutes. And thank you all. Bye bye. Have a great day. Bye.